President Trump had some harsh words for the World Health Organization this past week. In addition to accusing it of not being aggressive enough in responding to the virus, Mr. Trump is threatening to cut off U.S. funding to the organization. Well, joining me now is Dr. David Nabarro. He's the WHO Special Envoy for the coronavirus. Dr. Nabarro, welcome to Meet the Press. A happy
Hello,
Easter
sir.
to you. Let me just start with a basic question that we've all become familiar with in this country, which is flattening the curve. We're trying to flatten the curve in America. Where are we on the world's curve? Have we begun to flatten the curve globally?
Well, certainly when we look at Europe and the US, there are signs of flattening the curve, but the virus is still advancing in other parts of the world. However, very rapid action in many countries, particularly through introducing physical distancing and lockdowns, means that it's not advancing quite as fast as we feared in some parts of the world. We're still very worried. And so we're still very much on high alert and trying to support the countries that have got weaker health systems to really be able to get on top of it as best they can.
What are you learning about the virus in the southern hemisphere that will give us clues about what our fall is going to look like, our September, October, November? How likely are we here in the United States and in Europe are going to get a second wallop from this virus based on what you've learned in the southern hemisphere?
We're not so sure that it will come in waves in the way that influenza does. We think it's going to be a virus that stalks the human race for quite a long time to come until we can all have a vaccine that will protect us, and that there will be small outbreaks that will emerge sporadically and they will break through our defenses. So the key for this particular virus is that every community has a kind of defensive shield, can pick up cases as soon as they appear, isolate them and stop outbreaks from developing. It's going to be necessary for every single country to have that capacity. And so we're actually encouraging countries to put that in place now, and that will facilitate releasing lockdowns and prevent further massive outbreaks.
What would you, how would you assess the global cooperation right now?
I've worked before on Ebola, I've worked on influenza pandemics, and I've worked on other threats. You can only deal with these by countries working together. I'd love to see much greater cooperation between leaders. I'd like to see them united and showing the world that they believe that this global threat has to be dealt with through united action between all countries and their people. I like the fact that the World Health Organization is seen by public health professionals everywhere to be a really good direction finder. And I'm very pleased that we've been able to help different health professionals to find a way to go and a direction to find. But I would like leaders to be a little bit more cooperative. Yes, please.
Let me ask you this. Obviously, our the American president, Donald Trump, our president here, does not believe the WHO has acted on the up and up, in particular when it comes to interpreting data or dealing with China. Address that critique.
Thanks very much. The World Health Organization actually works on behalf of all the governments in the world, and it operates within mandates that are given to it. And we have to rely on information that's received from different governments, and that then permits us to work out what's going on. We believe that we've had the best information coming to us that can come under the current circumstances, and that all recommendations and decisions have been made on behalf of that. But we know that there will be many things that are found to have perhaps not been done as well as they could have been done. And we're anticipating there'll be lots of examinations afterwards. Right now, we have to move forward. We have to get the best possible cooperation. I just heard you discussing with the head of the FDA some of the challenges that things that we're learning about this virus all the time. That's why we need a strong WHO, a trusted WHO, and we hope all leaders will continue to work with us in that way.
You used an interesting phrase here, the best information you can get under current circumstances. That seems to be a hint that certain governments are more transparent than other governments. Do you believe China's been honest about the damage this virus did in their country? Number one. And number two, if they haven't been honest about that, are you confident they've been honest about the science?
So first, we really do have to work with the information we get. We don't have in the World Health Organization the power to go and inspect beyond what countries tell us. That's been made clear in the treaty that governments agreed in 2005 on how nations work together and how the WHO operates. But I say this, that they did invite a team pulled together by the World Health Organization to come and inspect everything in mid-February. There were no restrictions on what that team investigated. It included American experts as well as experts from others in the world. So we are trying to be clear to everybody that we have been given access to the information we requested. And so therefore, I don't like at any time to say we don't believe. We believe what we've got. We work with what we've got. That's how we operate in the World Health Organization.
President Trump has talked about withholding funding to the WHO. I believe the United States is anywhere approximately 15 to 20% of your annual budget. How
Right.
devastating would it be if the United States pulled its funding?
Well, do you know, we're right in the middle of this massive, epic struggle. Every single human being in the world is affected by it. Businesses are really in trouble. Communities are in distress. I really do hope that all nations will not find any reason to make threats or other such things that will undermine our capacity to bring together all the best knowledge that we can find. And of course, we love our partnership with the United States. We've worked with United States scientists for years. I personally have huge respect for what you bring and what you offer. And that would be so unfortunate if anything happened to lessen that cooperation. I know that Tedros, the Director General, has had direct discussions with the President of the US, and he really does trust him when he hears from the President that respect for the WHO, and we hope that will go on. It's too important to have anything that disturbs the functioning of the international system at this time.
Okay. Dr. David Nabarro, a special envoy for the WHO on this coronavirus. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for
sharing
having
the
me.
WHO's perspective. Much appreciated. Hello from Washington, I'm Chuck Todd, and thanks for checking out the Meet the Press channel on YouTube. Click on the button down here to subscribe and click over here to watch the latest interviews, highlights, and other digital exclusives.